At one point in the hospital stay, Mommy had to have an NG tube, and oh God, those are so awful and so painful. Down the nose to help her digest, and oh goodness. But one of my favorite pictures is me with my bald head and my sister on the other side of Mom, and Mom having her hand up here trying to hide her NG tube. And she just looks like this little girl. And it's just so sweet. Well, she was ready to go back to chemo, or so she thought. Last night in the hospital, she calls to be walked into the restroom and thinks, oh, I won't bother the nurse. I can make it back myself to bed. She falls and breaks her leg. She can't go through chemo when she's in rehab. 5 weeks of rehab. Kept getting weaker. Not able to do the therapy. Not able to heal. And the last time we were to take her to get a paracentesis because her tummy blew up yet again, she could barely stand up. I said, Mom, I think it's time. So while she was still in rehab, we called Hospice, and they agreed. We had a transport take her for the last time to the paracentesis. While she was in the hospital, I went back to her apartment and made everything ready for her to come home. I called my sister. She was in coach's camp in Nashville being honored for her wonderful work as a sales coach. And she had to leave before the festivities. Her birthday was April 13th, and that day we didn't speak. She knew better than to call me, I think. The next day, I had to tell her that Mom was on hospice and that she doesn't look like she's going to make it. Should I come home? Should I wait? What do you think I should do? And I said, honey, I know how important this week is to you in Nashville. I'd love for you to be able to stay. But if you miss Mommy dying, I don't think you'd ever forgive yourself. So she was trying to figure out how, what, when, where. She wound up home the next day, and Mom lived another week. During that time, we were singing to her. We were playing our CDs. She constantly had music with our voices in harmony all the time. April 20th, my sister's husband was down. He walked out of the apartment and came in on the phone in tears. And we thought, of course, he was talking about Mom. When he came in from the patio on the phone, my brother-in-law was in tears. And he announced that a dear friend of his had committed suicide. Well, what I learned was this young man was an athlete with a lot of promise until he broke his back on a skiing accident. And the pain pills weren't working. The operations weren't working. And he decided that the pain was too great. So after we learned about the young man's passing, Kristen and I were on either side of Mom. And my sister said, Mom, there's a friend of ours who just crossed over. He might be in a pretty dark place. He might need your help. He needs to know that even though he did that to himself, that he is still loved, that he is still of God, and that he's okay. And my sister and I sang Angel Flying to my mom. And when we got to the bridge, when I'm an old woman preparing for my rest, will I see my family of angels from the past, Smiling faces tell me that I'll not be alone. Winged graces beckoning, they'll come to take me home. She gave us her last breath. She died right then. And my sister and I continued to sing, finishing the song, holding hands, watching this body lose our mommy. It was the most amazing, terrible, wonderful, all at once. And naturally, I guess, I haven't seen many dead bodies, but her skin was ashen, her mouth was open, and her fingers like claws. Mom knew and told us that she had always wanted to donate her body to medical science. So when she was diagnosed, she took the time of filling out the forms from IU, the anatomical gifts department, believe it or not. And we had the card then to call. It took 3 hours to come from Indianapolis and pick up her body. And in that time, 2 of her 4 friends wanted to come say goodbye to the body for whatever reason. And in those couple of hours, the last gift that she could have given us was amazing. Her hands relaxed. Her color came back. Honest to God. Her mouth closed. It was a smile. It was amazing. And I got pictures. When I first took the picture of this, my sister wasn't going to say anything, but she told me afterwards, how cruel can you be? Why do you want a picture of that? She's really glad I got the before and then after picture when Mom smiled for us. She was already gone. It was so amazing. Beautiful, beautiful picture. We have learned so much about grieving and about letting go. I didn't know I could live on this planet without my mom. We have always been so close. And my sister's the first one to recognize that she had a husband and kids. She had a whole family. When Mom was divorced and I was single, it was my mom and I. When I was traveling, my husband didn't necessarily want to travel with me. We've got cats and dogs. He's perfectly happy at home. I took my mom with me. I would buy her things on the road. It was like, my sister said I was like her husband, and I guess I kind of was. We were closer than most mom and daughters would be, and she was my best friend. So how could I be on this planet without her? It's been a very interesting dance. And I've learned that she had taught me so well, and she gave me so much strength, that of course I can be here. And of course I can continue to heal. And of course I can continue to talk to her. And as I grieve, and I do, I wind up curling up in a heap like a little 5-year-old. And I almost hear the words, "It's okay, little darling." That's what she called us. I'm right here. And every once in a while I pull out one of her stories on tape, and I can actually hear her voice. And then I melt all over the place again. And as deeply as I grieve, I have to understand, I get to understand, that it's just as deeply as I've loved. And that's okay. And that's okay. So I thought then, perhaps Mommy died of cancer so I didn't have to. Or that I wasn't going to have to get re-diagnosed a 3rd time or whatever. So interesting the way life works.